Welcome to Just 3D Things. In this video, we'll be looking at how to make photorealistic copper material procedurally. Step 1. Creating the copper base material. Since copper is a metal, there will only be a specular component to it. So in the principal shader, let's turn up the metallic and specular sliders all the way up to 1 and decrease the roughness to 0.1. Now the base color will act as a specular color of the metal. Here we can find the list of all specular colors of different metals. Let's copy the hex code of the copper metal and paste it in the hex input of the base color. Step 2. Generating a roughness map. You can generally use a surface imperfection map from online and connect it directly to the roughness socket of the shader and call it a day. But let's try to make it procedurally. Adding roughness is basically adding layers of different surface imperfection maps. For the base layer, let's add a large scale noise texture. Let's set the scale to 660 and remap its values using a map range node. Let's choose the output values to be between 0.28 to 0.38. For the second layer, let's add stains. Easy way to add stains is using a smooth Voronoi texture. Let's increase its scale and separate its color to different components using a separate RGB node. Now we can add a math greater than node on one of its channels and get a stain pattern by tweaking the threshold input. Stains are generally darker, so let's subtract it from the base layer using a mix RGB node set to subtract. Set the factor low to keep it realistic. The pattern looks too uniform. To add some randomness, we can distort the coordinates using a noise texture with mix RGB node set to linear light. Set the factor very low to keep it subtle. For the third layer, let's overlay some noise. Add a noise texture and use the position output of the smooth Voronoi as the vector input of the noise texture. Now let's overlay this to the existing roughness using mix RGB node set to overlay. For the next layer, let's overlay some overall noise. Add a noise texture and increase its detail and roughness. Let's overlay it using a mix RGB node set to overlay. For the final layer, let's add some scratches. You can either use a surface imperfection map or you can make them procedurally. I'll be using the procedural scratches which I made a tutorial on. I will leave the link to it in the description. Now let's add it to the roughness. Step 3. Generating the bump map. Most of the copper utensils have a brushed look. The easiest way to achieve this is using a stretched noise texture. Let's add a noise texture and connect it to the generated coordinates. Now to stretch it, let's add a vector math multiplication node and increase the Z component to 30. Let's increase the roughness of the noise texture to 1 and detail to 8. Now let's plug this to the height socket of the bump node and connect the output of the bump to the normal input of the principal shader. Now let's adjust the strength and distance to a realistic value. Step 4. Adding color jitter. This step is completely optional. Realistic copper will have some color variation in its specular component. To achieve this, let's add a noise texture and overlay the color output to the base color of the copper material using mix RGB node set to overlay. Keeping it subtle will add a lot of realism. You can get the project files on my Patreon. It is a great way to support the channel as well. Let me know what are the materials you want me to make in the comments below. Thank you for watching and I'll see you in the next one.